Usually what we do is we'd have a story and then connect it with some sort of craft, and then the film strip with some sort of craft, and then if we took up marching or band activities, work it into a craft. They loved the film strips. To them, that was the treat. Oh boy, we're having a movie today. Children, oh, they had the street to play in, and they had the school about 3 blocks from the library, and it had a little dirt patch behind it, and they could play there. No real recreation area. Nothing like swings with sliding boards. Now, I don't know if it was because these little children didn't have things to play with that they weren't as coordinated as children, as the book said children at the first grade level should be. In basic things like skipping and jumping, there's certain things they should be able to do, and they just couldn't do them. And by the end of the summer, some of them could, but still some of the others couldn't. One little girl never did learn how to skip. The last day I was there was the most impressive to me. All these little kids stood up and sang me a song, which my teenage helper from the area taught them. But after they had sung it, they all came up and just hugged me, and I felt overwhelmed all of a sudden. These little kids, they started crying, and then I started. I didn't cry, but boy, I was holding back. I hated to leave them, but I think they hated to leave a little bit, too.
The thing that will stand out in my mind most is the whole class of mentally retardeds which I have. It makes me realize even more how much I want to continue in this field and how much enjoyment I receive just from the minute accomplishments that they make. I'm very interested in the problem of poverty and what can be done about it. It seems as if we in the United States have put so much emphasis on a kind of one-sided acceleration wherein, as the old saying goes, the richer get richer and the poor get poorer. So I'm very interested in what happens to these people in as much as I believe in the worth of every individual.
Ironically, poor people get less for $1 than their middle-class counterparts. With this in mind, one volunteer planned a class to teach mothers how to shop for groceries and preserve food. They learned cooking methods that leave the flavor and the vitamins in. Sewing, how to make new clothes and repair old ones.
So many people have chosen to ignore the fact that poverty does exist. In our middle-class society, everything is geared to it. And it's so much more comfortable to not to think about these people who have less than you. If you don't have to come in contact with them in a personal way, you can just ignore the fact that they exist. But you can't deny the fact when you take a look at a total community, that there are segments in every community that need help. A lot of these people have been in poverty for so long, just sort of grown accustomed to the drawbacks of poverty. They still want to change. Certainly these people don't enjoy their situation. No, these people know that they're deprived, and they know that there's a difference, and that there is another way to live. And when we come in contact with them, and we see that they can be helped, and acquaint the whole society to the fact that they exist, then I think there's a way out.
Well, in the mountain counties, the people are in many areas isolated. they don't have the means or the time to go into town to the library. They have a fairly good library system, but the people simply can't get into it. So the mountain counties have 4 mobile libraries in the 4-county area. And during the summer, this system's very important because the children are out of school, and most of them have no books in their homes. The only way they can get books for an entire 3-month period then is through the services of the mobile library. Before the volunteers came into the area, because of lack of staff, lack of time, and money available, the bookmobile could go out only about every 2 months to some of these places. Then after the volunteers went into the area, they were able to go to most places about every 3 weeks. The children were able to read more books during the summer, and we tried to open up new routes, especially routes where we knew there were children at home during the summer months who would benefit most from the bookmobile services. We tried especially hard to hit areas of cultural and economic deprivation.
I would say that adult education is perhaps the one area in which we differ from some of the other project areas. We simply contacted a high school principal in which we had a preschool readiness program, and he contacted his president of his PTA, and she went out into the community and simply asked the people who would be interested. And I think at the end of the summer there were 45 people who were enrolled. And these were all adults, and they ranged from complete illiteracy out to people who wanted to complete the high school education so that they might prepare themselves for a more challenging position, or certainly a safer financial position. After talking to a lot of the women and asking them why they were involved in this program, they would tell me time and time again that they wanted to try to get out of the situation that they were in. They were very enthusiastic about it, and this adult education program meant a tremendous amount to them because it showed them a way they could get out of what they were in.
I'm 57. At the time that I heard about the program, someone that passed by and said, you know, they're having free school. I said, yeah. She said, yeah. I said, well, I sure need to go. I need more education because I don't have it. And I said, I need it. And I said, if it's free, I'm going to try to get it.
I was with an environmental sanitation survey working with the public health department in my area, and my job was to go out and contact people in the homes and to survey and to inspect the sanitation conditions around the home, and when I found bad conditions, to speak with the people about them, tell them what is wrong, why, and what can be done to alleviate the conditions. So the main purpose of my work was educational also, to bring education in basic sanitation into individual homes. I found very poor sanitation conditions in the homes that I worked with, and the people who live in these conditions gradually grow accustomed to them, and they just pretty soon ignore the flies, the garbage, and the filth, and they're no longer concerned about this. They become accustomed to it. And so then the children of the family adopt the same attitude, and so it goes on in a cycle of bad sanitation. And I think that to overcome poor sanitation in the home will take education on the level of the individual homes. And this was the purpose of the survey that I made, to bring the education into the homes. Not only is the ignorance of basic sanitation, but an apathy to the problem. A community interest must be stimulated to overcome the apathy of the people.
16 of the volunteer girls will never forget their 3 weeks as construction workers. 2 volunteer teams, 16 girls and 4 boys, moved into a rural slum area, cleared a piece of ground, brought in materials and the basic tools, sank a shallow well, and built a 5-room house for a family that had no decent place to live.
We built a house in a community that had lost most of its self-respect. And we thought if we, a group of volunteers, amateurs, 16 girls and 4 boys, were to go into this community and show these people what you could really do with just a minimum amount of money and a lot of desire, that we could perhaps create an interest in them and just simply show them what could be done if they really wanted to do it.
We started at 8 o'clock in the morning and finished at 5 in the afternoon, and we had 3 weeks to complete the house, and therefore we just worked steadily day by day. We built this home to get the family out of this home that was owned by 2 uncles of the children. The father and mother and the little baby boy slept in the front bedroom, and in the back bedroom slept the 2 uncles and the 2 little girls. And this was not the ideal living conditions for these children. And of course the welfare department is very concerned with the welfare of the children. And this is why the home was built, not just to get the parents out of such a home, but primarily the children. Their concern was for them.
The night before we were to begin, a social worker came over and spoke to us about the father and said that we probably never would see him. He was just unable to work and carry on a job. And this is really what was amazing. The very first day this man comes up and introduces himself, well, I was so overcome. Everyone was, because this was the man that we were supposed to never see, you know, all summer long. He worked from the day we got there to the day we left. And what was left, he did. We've heard from the family twice. One of the girls received a letter, and then I received a letter from the little boy, which showed me that we had begun something in this community that had no community spirit at all when we came. And I think a spark was begun. They're just people without hope in many respects. And if we had lived, middle-class people had lived under this no hope attitude for so long, we would become listless too and feel like, well, what's the use, and not do anything. Now others, especially the younger people, aren't like that. They see a vision, they're very idealistic, they think they can get out of it. Too often we isolate them, say, those are people across the tracks, we don't associate with them. And therefore, because of this lack of communication, there's not any understanding. Too often, we think that the people of poverty are a breed all their own. Well, in a sense they are, but they've got a lot to give to the world if they're just given the chance to give it.
Who benefited most? The volunteers or the people they served?